this open area right here for me?
Lou,
That would be spectacular.
you stay between me and
I just
Mom.
want to make sure I don't shine my flashlight in anybody's eyes.
You have to listen to her.
So I like to start this all off by saying, welcome to Bridal Cave in Thunder Mountain Park. My name is Trixie. I will be your guide. An easy way to remember my name is she tripped. Did you see? Trixie. Now I work in your guys' favor. I've already fallen, hit my head, and tripped in all the places possible here in the cave. I learned it the hard way, so you guys don't have to. It's kind of a plus. I'm sure you've noticed these lovely bars running through the middle of this room. They are to help us with the flow of traffic. There is currently another group here in the cave. We will be passing them at some time. We're just going to hang to the right-hand side of the room. That way they have this left-hand lane to make their way on out of the cave. Now this next rule, no touchy rule. Kiddos, what I mean by that is we're going to try our best not to touch the walls. Not trying to really circle kids out, guys. It's just, I'm a mom, personal experience, so that helps. Now the reason we have that rule, there's oils in our skin, great for us, but it's bad for the rocks. It causes them to stop growing and they change colors. Now that all being said, it is a cave, it is very uneven surfaces here and there. If you get a wobbly step while we're coming through here, you feel like you're getting ready to meet our floor, grab that wall, okay? Catch your balance, get your feet underneath you, then let go. Your safety is far more important to me. I kind of want to be the only trip in the cave. Now this next rule was put in place by our federal government. Way back when it was super brave to come into a dark cave with just a lantern. And needing people to believe they went through the cave, they find pretty rocks inside, or they break some off. Now our government realized this was happening to all of their caves, and they passed a law. Says that if you take or break a rock, they're allowed to charge you $16,000. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen a rock worth that kind of money. I never promise, there are not that pretty rocks. I mean, they're pretty rocks, but gift shops, way prettier rocks than we got down here. For the most part, they don't cost you that much, and the only time they get mad that you take it home is if you don't pay for it first. So it's a little bit of an easier route to go with. Now, I'm sure you've noticed the darkness. There's a couple of reasons for it. One is so that I know if anyone else is going to come up through a path that we're trying to go down, because, well, two groups don't fit in all the places at the same time. The other reason is algae. Now that pollen hits our clothes while we're outside the cave. We come in here and it leaves our clothing into these walls. And you add about 1,500 LED lights in the cave, and photosynthesis underground becomes a thing. For the younger kiddos, photosynthesis is what makes your plants grow. It's the light feeding in. Now you will see this kind of green shade like that is above my head here in a few places through the cave. That is just that algae. And I will be shutting lights on and off to try to keep it from growing too much. I promise I will not shut lights off unless I am intending to do so and I've told you it's getting ready to happen. That being said, somebody in the front of the cave or the cave while we're in the middle can hit a button and shut our lights off if they want to. If that happens, I swear I will get the lights back on as fast as possible. Now, the only extra rule I can add is let the guide stay to the front of the group, but other than that, we'll go ahead and get into the formations we're going to see today. Like this great big guy right here in the middle of the floor. Now these types of rocks are known as stalagmites. And an easy way to remember them, they might reach the ceiling one day. These big guys up here, they are actually known as stalactites. And an easy way to remember them, they hang tight to the ceiling. Now as you guys can see, they look like they're growing down towards us. And I mentioned that stalagmites grow up. And eventually those two pieces will meet in the middle. It creates something known as a pillar or column. And the best example I have of that is actually in the very next room. So I'll show that off at that time. But before we look away from the ceiling, you got all these little bitty guys hanging out up here. Now these little guys are called soda straws. It's kind of a silly name, huh, kids? Now the reason we call them soda straws is because they're completely hollow, just like a straw. The rainwater gathers above the cave. It soaks into our earth. It starts to pick up minerals as it's moving. And it gets down here to these little soda straws, and it follows through them and sprinkles all over the inside of the cave. That is why we are known as an active and growing cave system. Now, eventually, what will happen with them, that mineral that's heading through the water is what gives those soda straws their land. But at one point, they will catch bottoms. And once that happens, the water no longer falls straight through the middle. It actually comes out along the sides of the rock. And they switch over from soda straws into baby stalactites. You can see a few of them right in here. They're the ones that are a little thicker than those sticks. Now, I mentioned that water drips down. There is a chance that one of you lovely folks are gonna get dripped on while we walk through. I personally call them cave kisses, just in case she likes you. Now, they take 2 to 3 days to get to this room, but as we move further through the cave, that timeline is going to change, and I'm gonna be pointing that out as we move. But I have one other formation in this room. It's this great big one. Now, this is known as a dracolite. And the way dracolites form is water droplets from the ceiling falling in the exact same line over and over. And it creates all these little folds. Now, there's a couple of reasons why they call them dracolites. One is because they sometimes drape over the sides of formations like this guy's right here. But another reason is because they thought it looked like drapes. Now, kiddos, drapes are curtains, like at your house, okay? Just a fancier way to say it. Now, our name here is Bridal Cave. And it's not just a clever name. We've been hosting weddings here since June 1st, 1949. And at this point in time, we've held 4,370 of those lovely ceremonies. Most of them happening in this very room. That's why we call it the Bridal Chapel. Now, when we have our weddings here, your bride and groom stand right before this formation. We have a lovely officiant that sees over the ceremony. And we learned way back when that 117 people was too many to put into this room. So now it's 30 to 50 people in here at a time. And a lot of people thought it was our idea to do weddings here in the cave. But it wasn't. It was the Native Americans that lived around the cave that started the tradition. There were 2 tribes that lived right around the cave. One was known as the Big Hill Tribe. They lived over by Hawatonka State Park. The other was known as the Little Hill Tribe, and they lived right over here next to Little Hill. I'm not 100% sold on those tribal names, guys. It just doesn't sound like a Native American tribal name. I feel like settlers moved in, seen smoke by the Big Hill, smoke by the Little Hill, and kind of named them that way. The thing that we know the truth of, though, is the 2 tribes had tendency to marry into one another. They would make their way into this room. Now, this is as far into the cave that the Native Americans ever went. But getting into here, a little different than it is now. Where we all came through, that is where the original mouth was placed. And at that time, that mouth before 1948 was 3 feet by 18 inches. So it was a nice tight belly crawl into the first room. 1948, they're like, let's make it a door shape. That's more inviting. Now getting into this room, we all came through that opening right there, but again, that wasn't a thing until 1948. The only way into this room is that lit up hole right here on the wall. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of happy they opened up this side. It could have been a whole nother tour if we took your photo in the first room and then asked you to belly crawl, right? Now, to mark the end of their ceremonies, the chieftain would came in. It would have only been the bride, the groom, and the chieftain. Now, in order to mark it out so everybody in the area would know, he would use a rock club. And he would strike this formation right here. Doing so created a thunderous boom that could be heard up to a half mile from the cave. Now, as much as I would love to show off that pretty sound that it'll make, I'm not going to. But if you guys are curious of what that could sound like, get on YouTube, look up pipe organ formation sounds. You'll find a whole list of different videos that can give you an example. Now, we are getting ready to head through this nice area behind us all. This is known as Lemon Squeeze. It is the tightest section of the cave. These rocks might feel like they get a little close. Now, as we make our way through, if you feel the need to touch the walls, well, they're all dormant rocks, guys, so you can touch the walls if you need to, from the top of the stairs here to the bottom. But I did just mention there are stairs, so please, let's be careful as we make our way through. I mean, I know it's a silly joke, but I really do want to be the only trip in the cave. Now, we'll make our way this way.
You got it?
Yeah. smallest group of the day, and it's kind of like, I don't know what to do with myself. I've been taking 30 people through here all day long. It's kind of nice to be able to see everybody on one level. Now, I like to congratulate everyone. You guys made it through the tester section of the cave. This area right here is kind of your testament. If you are claustrophobic, 9 times out of 10, you don't make it down. Now, officially speaking, no one has ever officially been stuck. Unofficially speaking, my husband did a couple years ago. That piece screws right, or if so long as it's one piece, it'll pop right back onto the top of that. Yeah, I've put those back together many a times. Now, this room here is known as our Grand Drapolite room. And the reason for its name is this massive wall right here. Now, as you guys can see, it's super tall, goes most of the way to the ceiling, a portion of the way back down. But this is not the end of this wall. It actually starts at the top of the stairs here and runs through the majority of the cave, with the exception of the very back of the room. In 1962, they wanted to know just how big this wall is, so they call on Ripley's Believe It or Not. And they come in, and from start to finish, it measures out at 500 million cubic square inches. This is about 297,000 cubic square feet. I mean, either way you go, they're a very large wall. So big, in fact, they listed in the 62 edition of their magazine as the largest wall of cave onyx in North America. One of my favorite features of the wall are all the beautiful minerals hanging out. Now we have this kind of rusty red shade. We're going to see that all through the cave. That is iron oxide. Now right above that, that smoky gray area, that is known as manganese or magnesium. Science fact here, kiddos. I could catch that rock on fire. Yeah, a rock that catches on fire. Sounds crazy, huh? It's that manganese that is on there. It is super hot when it burns. So it burns a really, really pretty shade of blue. Very, very hot to put back out. That's why they only do those fires in laboratories, and I'm not allowed to play with flames in the cave anymore. Now, the other shade that is up here is this white color. Now, that is calcite, and we'll see this all throughout the cave. Now, in the last room, I mentioned to you guys about stalactites and mites growing together, creating columns. And the best example is this big guy right here. Now, we actually call him the Stairway to the Stars. Something about it looking like a spiral staircase heading all the way up. And I just said stars, and I'm pretty sure a few of you have read in your science books at class, so that's not a thing underground, right? I know, it sounds like I'm telling you guys a fib. But, give me a second to turn those lights off. If you notice, when I shine my light up there, there's a few of those little silver dots. Now, those are soda straws that are reflecting my light back. And that's kind of where those explorers got their idea for the Stairway to the Stars. Now, one of my favorite things about any cave tour is the wishing well. It's not a cave tour without a wishing well. Now, we put this one in ourselves. It is not cave water. If you guys didn't know, cave water tends to be a little acidic. This is garden hose water. It's fine. Now, we put this well in, because it's just not a cave tour without a well. And we actually pull the money out of it twice a year. Now, the reason we do that is not because we're stingy and we're stealing your wishes. 5 students at the end of this year will be selected at random to receive the Bridal Cave College Scholarship. So, great time to wish for your 67 Camaro SS 4-speed. Now, that pretty car's on your driveway. You're helping a kid out in a college, and that's still a silver lining. We'll make our way this direction. It's going to take us to the next room. So you guys think it's pretty cool so far?
Yeah.
So right over here, that's what the real cave floor looks like. Now we will never walk on the cave floor because, well, that mud will rip the sole off of your tennis shoe. Yeah, can you believe that? Really? $80 adventure I had to learn the hard way. It's one of those, like my niece was like, oh, I came down, girl, I got you some really cool, like, mountain climbing boots. I'm like, awesome. I worked at Stark Caverns. They let me go off the beaten path and Stark Caverns, and those $80 boots did not last longer than an hour because I stepped into the clay and I went to pull my foot out, and well, the sole of my shoe was left behind. Yeah, don't trust cave clay. Now this room here, they call this room the Garden of the Gods.
And the reason for that name is this beautiful formation right here. They actually call her the guardian angel of the cave.
Pretty cool.
And they say these little stalagmites right next to her are her little angel buddies, and that's why this room is the Garden of the Gods. Now, my favorite thing about this room is the cave kisses. They take 2 to 3 weeks to drop into this room. And that's because there's about 120 feet above our heads here. It just takes that much more time. Now, a good portion of them do hit the floor. That's why it's nice and damp back here. But even more than that is what rolls down our wall, creating the Dracolite wall. And my favorite part of the Dracolite wall are these roller pieces right here. Early explorers, when they seen it, because of the color, they thought it looked like raw bacon. So they named it cave bacon. I don't suggest a bite, though, unless you really like your dentist. Now, eventually, these little pieces will grow out. They'll look on to those full-on Dracolites, but it's going to take them a little bit of time to get there. Now, guys, I have explored a good portion of this cave. I have not been everywhere because my name is Tripsy and I fell off a ladder. It's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. And I'll elaborate it a little bit more when we get closer to that area. But of what I've seen so far in the cave, my favorite of the larger formations is actually this big guy right here. Now, we call him the almost kissing camel. So about that right there looking like his head and neck, and then the hump for his back. But this stalagmite is still growing, and that stalactite above is still growing down. And eventually, these two pieces are going to meet there in the middle. The timeline we are looking at for this to happen, guys, 7, maybe 800 years from now. Wow. Right? We still have bookings available if you guys want to come back. Now, here's how I know it's going to take that kind of time. It takes these rocks 30 to 100 years to grow 1 cubic square inch. Right? It's not a whole lot of growth in that kind of time. Now, this cave is 2.4 million years old. Right? It's crazy, huh? Now, these big rocks in here are about 2 million years old. But my favorite of the rocks, there we go. I wasn't getting them all. And my favorite, though, guys, is right here. I have this little stalagmite that's hanging out. I named him Timmy, like Tiny Tim. He has been growing since 1952, which means this year he turned 71 years old. And, I mean, with the exception of little over there in her arms, everybody else's shoes are taller than this guy. Just to give you guys kind of an idea of the growth rate. Now we are going to head up this path that's going to take us to the middle section of the cave. There are headache rocks, guys. I just like to give you a heads up on them. Literally, like heads down is better. Personal experience, when you walk into them, they make a couple of different noises. First one's a kerthunk sound. Second one makes a sailor blush. Teaches a small child a 4-letter word that starts with F. Now we are going to make our way up the stairs here. It's going to take us into the next room.
Oh.
Sorry. I was unaware. I thought you were Spider-Man.
You're an Iron Man?
I may have scratched your backpack a little. It's okay. Baby's not in it.
See, it's better to scratch an inanimate object than a person.
You're right.
I thought there was a couple of people missing. Yes, you do. A little extra light, that helps out. All right.
Scoot back.
I'm gonna let them try to
You like
kind of
this?
scoot out a little bit.
It's like a bat.
Otherwise I gotta scream at everybody and there's no fun. There's enough kids in here. I had that mom scream. They all night just go, oh no.
Yep, don't touch it.
In the last room, I introduced you guys to my little buddy Timmy, and I mentioned he's been growing since 1952.
Yes, that's cool.
The reason I know that is because
walking on this whole time. Really good sturdy work, right? Now when they began that job, they started right here where this curve is at. And they paved from here all the way back up to the mouth of the cave. This was 1932. So bringing that concrete in was done by bucket load and wheelbarrow load at a time. Those gents worked 7 days straight for 6 months. That's how long it took to get this all done. Now around 1990, that is when they put in the second piece of the floor that runs from here and into the back of the cave. That's kind of a big jump, right? 52 to 90. And I'll get into that in just a moment. I want to stick with the flooring for a few. Now it is equal in distance from here to the back of the cave as it is from here to the mouth of the cave. And I said 6 months to do this floor. 6 weeks to do the floor back there, guys.
6 weeks?
Yeah. Cement trucks were a thing by 1990. They have these nice long tubes that brings it all in for you. Took a half work. Now, the main reason the flooring wasn't put in until 1990 is this would have been the end of the tour. There was no safe way back then to go past what we call the frozen Niagara, this beautiful waterfall here.
Oh, wow.
There was only one way back then to get around it. And that meant bringing a very tall ladder to this front. They would have posted that ladder right here against this caliside, climb to the top of the ladder, and then scale the rest of the way up to this ledge. Once they got here, they'd get on top of these large rocks, make their way over to the corner of the frozen Niagara to use that bridge there going up and over. Now, going that way takes 3.5 hours to get to the back of the cave. Kind of is a little bit of so many folks,
Yeah.
right? Our general manager,
That's not for
though,
us.
has been employed
Stay
here
here.
since the early 70s. Because of that, and one of the perks of working at a cave, he got to go into the back before it was open to the public. He's seen how pretty that was, and he came out with questions. He wanted to know why we weren't connecting to the back of the cave to show off the rest. And the answer is our government. We cannot do work in here without them saying that it is okay. Which means, a lot of paperwork, crossing T's, dotting I's, sending that in, waiting for them to say okay. So they started that project in about mid-70s, right? It was 1988 before they were like, yeah, go ahead, get started on it. So they did. It took 2 years to put this tunnel in. They had to give it a name, so it's formally known as Thompson Tunnel. Informally, we call it Concussion Corridor. It's a little low in a couple places. We already see some cool things in this tunnel. One of the first things we will pass is something known as a cave window. And all that is a hole in the wall that allows you to see into another room. There are 3 of them. The first one will be on the left. There will be 2 more on the right. They are the only ones that we will see in the cave, but they are not the only ones present. That drape-light does a wonderful job of being a drape over those windows. Plastic explosives, however, put that out of the way, no problem. Now, about halfway through this tunnel, we're going to come up to a large rock. I personally call this rock the Stegosaurus rock because, well, it looks like a dinosaur. Now, the main reason I bring them up, though, is it gets a little slick around that corner. It's about 3 steps worth of an area. I just want you guys to hang to the left-hand side. And just past that, with the kiddos, you may have to duck, sweetheart. The rest of the kiddos should be fine. The rest of us are going to duck. It gets really low right there. And once we get past that low spot, there is a ladder. This ladder has been in the cave since the mid to late 50s. Kind of looks like a dead 2x6. Ocean ventilation, depending on where you work. We do not use this ladder any longer. It's just an example of how they would have gone down and into the back of the cave. You guys will see that. Are you guys down for a super corny cave joke real quick?
Sure.
Do you guys know what the most commonly mentioned animal in a cave is?
What?
You would think, right? This duck. The duck. Told you guys, super corny joke. I wasn't lying. Now we are going to head down this path. It's going to take us over and into our tunnel. I know that was a silly joke, guys, but don't forget to duck as we head in.
Okay. Oh, you're short.
Alright, so right here is our first cave window. You got a lot of iron in here and calcite, a whole bunch of those soda straws, and baby stalactites starting. But my favorite one is this one. So it is completely filled with that calcite, that white mineral that is showing off. And I think it kind of looks like icicles or snow clustered all over.
That's pretty cool.
Not ready. This one is our biggest of our cave windows. You got more of those soda straws and columns. But you guys see the little ones that are on the floor? Those are little soda straws that got broken off of the ceiling. And we left them where they lie at because they're going to form back into the rocks around them. Like that big one that's hanging out right up there by itself. Yeah, no one's not gonna move anymore. It's stuck to the rocks around it. It's kind of cool, huh? Alright, guys, we're gonna come right up this way. Remember I said I had a dinosaur in the cave?
Yeah.
We ran into a dinosaur. See, he's got a nose and an eye, and there's all the plates on his back, and he even has toes in the front. It's my Stegosaurus in the cave. We're gonna let everybody else catch up with us real quick, and then we'll go around this corner. Hi, kiddos. I was showing off the dinosaur rock I mentioned earlier. That's the nose, the eye, the plates, toes. Honestly, you guys, I brought 2 sets of twins back here. There were 5. And I said, look at the head on this rock. And they went, it looks like a Stegosaurus. And you're 5? You just said a word bigger than you are? We're going to go with that. Y'all are the experts. Now, around this corner, folks, this is where that slick area comes up. What it is flowstone, mineral water that's ran down the wall and onto the path. So we're going to hang to the left-hand side. If you get wobbly as we go down this hill, do not hesitate to grab out just in case. I want your guys' safety. Don't walk backwards in a cave, kids. I'm going to do it, but don't follow what I say to do.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Right here is safe on this side, but that side right over there is the flowstone, and it's really slick. And the ceiling gets a little close right
Yeah,
here.
stay on this side.
Yep. You okay?
Yeah, we're good. She's clumsy.
I completely understand. That's why they call me Trixie. This is the ladder the early explorers would have used to come down. Did you guys climb on a ladder like that?
No.
I wouldn't either. And you know what's crazy? They couldn't have gone the way we're gonna go because all of these stalactites were in the way. So they had to go right through here.
Oh,
They would go back towards that wall and then go to the right. And it would take them in behind these rocks and into the next room. Yeah. You guys kind of hang out right up here for me. I gotta fight with some lights for a moment. It's probably only gonna come on.
yeah, right here. Right here.
Wow. Daddy, look at this. When I look like a
Yeah, don't touch.
I did. I didn't.
Listen, getting all my lights.
Come on.
I'd rather have them on before we go around the corner than we go, hold on guys, I gotta make the lights work. Alright. That's actually how they originally accessed this room. When they came down that ladder, they would have come across and come in behind all of this to get here. Mostly because the stalactites that were in that hallway were a little bit too long, so they had to break them down and file them off so people could get through. Now, my favorite thing about this room is that drape-a-light wall. You guys remember the drape-a-light wall in the beginning? We've come to the end of it now. It stops right there. Now, it does start again in the back of the cave, but because of that opening between the two, they count this as the official end. And you know what that means, kiddos? You guys have walked over 500 million cubic square inches. Does it feel like it?
No.
No, I think so. It may have been it. Sorry. Now, guys, we are getting ready to head around this corner. It's going to end up taking us into the next 2 rooms. But before we go, there are these lovely rocks right here. They pull hair. Not a whole lot, like 3 strands, you know, so enough to feel like your brain fell out, not so much you're combing your hair over so nobody notices. So just watch your heads as we make our way around this corner. And then right up here on this clay, you guys can see where they put scribbles into it. That was early explorers. That's how they let people know they were in the cave. Yeah, so we got like 1931, 1937. You guys imagine, that was like forever ago. It really was. And back then, none of these lights were in here. None of these floors were in here. They actually had climb all over everything. All right. Hang here for just a couple. Gotta talk about this room. I'm not 100% sure, but we can see about switching that one out if it's a possibility. Okay, just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if the shop will be open at the mouth of the cave when we come out, but if not, the folks upstairs will be able to help us out with it. Yeah, no problem. So this room here, guys, is one of my favorite rooms. This is our smallest and tallest room. So smallest because it's really close on either side of us, right? But from the floor to the ceiling, it is 42 feet. It's just kind of impressive. One of my favorite things with this room are the columns that are right here. Now on the left, that white one there, we call it the wedding cake. You know, because we're Bridal Cave, had to have a wedding cake. But my favorite is that broken one. That's kind of funny, huh? Broken one's my favorite. You guys want to know why?
Why?
That is the only natural breakage in the cave. People didn't do that one. That one was a solid column. And that clay that it's sitting on started to come through this opening right here. And when it did that, it got too heavy and it broke in half. So that bottom piece is now embedded into the clay. It's not going anywhere. And that top piece has soda straws coming off of it, which leads us to believe that the two will grow back together. But it's going to be a few million years before that happens. Now that third column, as you guys can see, is very solid and sturdy in its place, right? That's because it's not setting on top of the clay and mud. It's setting in between two rocks. So it's got a rock at the bottom and a rock at the top. And because of that, its weight can't be shifted, so it's not going to go anywhere. Now we are getting ready, guys, to head down this next path. Kind of a PSA moment. Hats are awesome. Hold on to them. So are eyeglasses, so are phones. Don't let those things go. If they fall, I can't get it back. Now this room back here is known as Mystery Lake. It is a locked-in body of water that is not connected to the river or lake outside, nor is it connected to anything underground. It is millions of years where the cave kisses falling in one spot. This water is crystal clear. You will be able to see all the way down to the bottom. Now, that clear water works in our favor because there are artifacts put back here. They've been in the cave since the early 1900s, and we don't know who put it in here or exactly why, but they did leave it behind. And we sent a diver down. The whole goal was to try to bring these pieces out so we could take it to a museum and see if we could find out more info on it, right? But there was a problem. When he reached out for it, his hand passed all the way through the wood, as if it was like paper and water. You guys seen what paper will do in water, how it just breaks apart and doesn't hold? That's what happened back here. Oh, what I'm talking about is a ladder and a wooden raft. Now, since we can't bring it out, we did a little more research into it to figure out why it still looks so solid. And that is because of the water pressure it is sitting under. There's about 20 foot of water back here. And I can tell you guys from personal experience, the temperature of this water is 58.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep, I said I fell off a ladder, guys. I left out the fact that it was in water, and I was only like this far above it. Like, it really wasn't as bad as it sounds. It's just, it sounds cooler to be like, I fell off a ladder. Let's talk about it later. Now, we will go ahead and head down this path here. It's going to lead us into that Mystery Lake room. I know there was $1 right there. We call this the big blue hole. And some people put wishes down here, and there was even a pair of sunglasses in the very bottom. Because somebody was looking over and the glasses fell off. That's why I was saying hold on to those things.
That is pretty cool. It's super clear. Oh, look up here. I got like that.
It's as deep as I said it was, huh?
It's actually 20 foot.
That is actually 20 foot. The fun of cave water, sometimes you'll look at cave water spots and you'll go, that is super deep. We're going for a swim, and you get ready to jump in, but it barely covers your foot. And then there's times where you'll look at it and go, that's not going to be deep at all. We'll walk through it, and you go to step in and there's no bottom. Never trust cave water. Now, the artifacts I was talking about are right up here about halfway through. We are not sure how they exactly got them back here. At that time period, there would not have been all these paths, so it would not have been that clear. And the only thing we can think is that they would have had to bring each piece in and then assemble it in this room. The idea is, with the lantern, they couldn't see how far the water went, so they tried their best to get to the back. When the raft wouldn't fit, they had to come back, but they could not bring it back up with them. It was too heavy, so they just left it down there in that water.
Wow.
Right? Now this room here, guys, we are in the very heart of Thunder Mountain. We have about 220 feet of rock above our heads. The cave kisses that come into this room take 7 years to drop down. Yeah, which is something because they're seconds behind each other. Just needed the pappy, huh? Now, for the reference for you guys, I told you I fell. I fell in by the artifacts, way over there, open water. What happened? We're heading into the back. Those light bulbs back there kind of died out. I had to get them fixed. The only way to do so is, well, climbing over the ledge here. And then you head over to about where the light starts at the end of the rocks. They tied a ladder. You climb down that ladder onto a raft. You float onto the raft about to where the artifacts are at. They had a rope ladder to climb up that next wall. The way it was supposed to work was you got to the rope ladder, you grab the hold, you get your foot in, you start to pull yourself up. And then the raft will slowly float out from underneath. It didn't slowly go out from underneath, guys. I got to there, and I guess I wiggled just right because it shot out from underneath me. My whole foot dropped into the water, and I did like that quick little girly scream because it was cold and my toes froze. And in that process, I knocked my good foot out of the ladder. So I kind of face planted and kissed the wall. And then I felt my fingers start to slide off the ladder because I have no upper body strength. And I did a quick math. I could ride down the wall on my face, or I could push off of the wall and go for a swim. I thought swimming was a better choice. Now, unfortunately, that cold, cold water, when I hit it, it took me 4 seconds to realize I was even in water and that I needed to do anything. So that's why they say be careful with cave water. So that water's super cold. I made it up the ladder the second time, guys. Like, it was cool after that. I went into the very back. Beyond our Paradise Island, there is another body of water. It is known as Spirit Lake. It is also 20 feet deep, but it is the size of a football field with 2 passages down in the very bottom. No one has gone through these passages in over 20 years. That is my goal for the end of this summer. I want to go through those passages. Now, I mean, it's swimming down like 23 feet, and then underneath a stalactite and shoot up 11 feet to get into this next room, known as Crystal Room. You guys had no idea what a Tripsy was until you got here and you met me. I'm going to figure no one else is going to know what a Tripsy is. I want to leave Tripsy in the back of the cave. They're like, why? I said, because other explorers were like Paul and Tim and John, like normal names. My name's Tripsy. They go, what are you going to do with us? I'm going to leave a note around here. It says I was a bride whose groom never showed up. You couldn't get me to leave the cave. They're like, why? And I'm like, that's a better legend than Tripsy was the tour guide that fell on our face. Like, trying to make it sound better for myself. Did I press buttons? I didn't think I pressed buttons. I'm going to go ahead and start squeezing around everybody. I highly suggest taking the side of the handrail. These steps are super uneven.
You can let them. You let them see the water.
And she said it's what, 20 foot deep?
Yeah, the water. From the water down. Yeah, the water is 20 foot deep.
I thought it was...
I know it's kind of dark over here, guys. I apologize about that. I apparently lost a light bulb while we were talking. LED lights last for a while, but not forever. We'll go ahead and start making our way back through this tunnel here. It's going to lead us back towards the front of the cave. And the fun thing, kiddos, about walking back out of a cave is that it looks completely different on the way out than it did on the way back in. What is happening here? I don't know, lights. Oh, I got the lights on. We're going to head up and around this corner here. I'm going to check that tunnel over to make sure we'll be able to go through. So you guys want a little extra? So you see how it looks all sparkly, kind of like ice in the morning? That is something known as ragonite. Sounds weird, huh? Ragonite. It is just like the calcite, the white color we've been seeing everywhere, but instead, have you learned about prisms in school? How rainbows are made? It's through prisms. It's a really like a triangle shape, and when light passes through it, it makes colors show up. That is what all of this right here is. It's just a bunch of little prisms sitting on top of each other.
Is this where it lights up?
I shut the lights down to see if there was anybody in our tunnel before we got up here. I mean, I don't think you guys will watch me play rock, paper, scissors, see who gets to go through. Now we're gonna make our way into our tunnel. We're gonna go past what I like to call the Joy of Melting Hershey's Kiss.
Hershey's Kiss.
Oh, Hershey's. And then I have a honey bear.
It does look like a
I call him my honey bear because he's kind of the color of honey and he looks like a bear. There we go. That was just the other guy looking to see if we were in the tunnel. Now watch your heads right up here, guys. The ceiling is super close.
Yeah.
Dad gums it.
I'm in the tunnel!
Sorry, I didn't mean to scream towards y'all guys.
No, you're good. You're good.
We're gonna come up on the right hand side. That's where that slick area is at. We'll make our way past the Stegosaurus. We're gonna go around this corner here. And hopefully she doesn't do that again, because I am not next to a sensor. You guys like the cave so far? Yeah. Awesome, I'm glad. We're gonna come up this way. Almost to the end of that tunnel. I mean, that's not as bad as the Bible stuff. Really did walk me in the gate one night. It's kind of fun. You gotta stick your arm out through the gate, try to get phone signals. We'll take. Alright, we're gonna stay right up here. We're gonna wait for the rest of our groups to make it out. You guys have been really good at keeping up with me.
Look at that. Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I think this one's longer than the one in Colorado we did.
And that be everybody. Are you done in this room, Aisha?
Not quite yet.
Okay. All right, my I almost forgot somebody. I thought I had everybody. There he is. Now I have everybody. All right, guys, we're gonna make our way back up this way. Bye, Aisha. Bye, Aisha's group. This is my place. Kind of cool. It's got a nose and everything. But when you look at it from the back, it kind of looks like a mouse with big ears. You don't see the piggy nose unless you're coming from that way. Then when this way, I think it looks like an eagle sitting in its nest.
Oh, yeah.
That's the fun of being in a cave. It's kind of like, you know how you can look at the clouds and see different pictures? You can do the same thing in a cave with little Mars. I've seen some cool rocks in here. Sometimes I just take random pictures while I walk through, and then I try to come back through and I try to match my pictures to the earth. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt.
I love how you said no, Lou.
Turn it on, dark.
Tell you what, it won't be for a long time. You hang right here next to me,
Yeah.
okay? We would have done that in the frozen Niagara room, but she was not done yet, and I would have been trying to like, let's make you do this now. Alrighty, guys. So I got a couple of things with this room. One is something that I try to do later in the cave, and now, like, well, when we were in the frozen Niagara room, making our way back is when I usually do that. But that group was there, we couldn't. Would you guys be excited to see the true darkness of the cave?
Sure.
I mean, I'll have to ask you kiddos to turn your lights off for me for just a little bit, okay? Can you do that, buddy? You got it?
Just make it dark for 1 second, okay?
I won't make it dark for long, I promise. And I have lights and I got the remote, like, I swear. I just want to show you guys what it's like to be in a cave without lights, okay?
Alright, ready?
Shut that one off. Alright guys, I'm gonna give it a nice count of, well, I'm gonna put my flashlight back in the little holder so I don't drop it on my toe. But I'm gonna give it a count of 3 before I shut that last light off, so we're all ready for it, okay? Alrighty guys, so 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the dark of a cave, right? It's kind of scary, huh? Now, early explorers, when they would come into a dark cave, they would come in with a candle. And this is as much light as they would have, right? You can't really explore a dark cave with this much light, huh? Now, they had issues with that. Cave kisses would come in and put their candles out. If they blew on it just right while they were talking, they could blow their candle out. They were in the dark. So they started thinking about it. How can we make this better? So they started, lanterns, exactly. They put them in those little cases with those glass, which made the flames get a little bit brighter, about this bright, actually. This is how bright a single lantern in a cave could be. Now, if you guys find yourself in this area during the summertime, between Memorial Weekend and Labor Day weekend, we do offer a lantern tour. We are not mean. Yes, we do shut off all the lights, but we give you a lantern to carry, so you have your own light source. But we give you the history of early cave exploring, what it took to get that kind of work done. We talk about the lake getting placed out front. Your tour guide looks like they fell out of a tractor, a little house on the prairie. It's totally worth it, I promise. Now, the extra things. So I'm sure you guys remember doing those photos in the very beginning. They're printed off in lovely folders at the top of the stairs, and I'm going to pass them out to everybody so you guys will get to see your photo. If you like your photo and you want to take it home, $10 makes it yours. If you have paper money, I have paper money. We could do that sell right here in the cave. If not, we'll have to head up to the gift shop up top. They'll be able to run your card for you there. Now, that all being said, guys, you can easily look at that photo and go, yep, we don't need this one. Thank you, Tripsy. Won't be a problem. I'll take that back. If you do want to use a card to buy your photo, I'm not saying you guys will run off with it, but I need you to hand it back to me, and we'll meet up top to do that. The only extra thing I can add, and in this day and age, is online reviews. So I help people decide, what they're going to do, where they're going to go. If you guys enjoyed the tour enough that you want to share it to the world, Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, wonderful places to do that. If you liked me enough, you want to be like, Tripsy was cool. That's spectacular. It's spelled Trip, C-I-E. If you didn't like me, and you still feel the need for one of those lovely online reviews, I can't stop that. I can, however, tell you my name is May, and may you never have to deal with me again. But I do hope otherwise. Alrighty, guys, so we're going to go ahead and head up the stairs here. It's going to take us back, and I'll show you guys this lovely picture. The kiddos, if you guys want to touch cave rocks, these rocks right here are the ones that you can until we get to the top of the stairs.